Well, hello everybody, and thanks for joining our live feed. It's been actually a very long time that I have been on a show with my teacher and friend and family, Virginia Drake, and it's been wow, a few years, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been long than few years. It's probably about 5 or 6 years. Because
Yeah.
I remember I kind of retired. I went semi-retired for a while and then got got into antsy again and called you.
Well, it's all perfect. And so we were going to be talking about, I guess, the innocence of the soul and the soul journey tonight, right?
Right.
And I think it's interesting. We should talk about what I just kind of experienced today. And I kind of, 3 hours ago, had this energy hit me, and I just got deep into myself, and I had a really bad headache, and I got really fatigued, and I felt like I was getting a sore throat. And I was like, no. And so now I'm going to if I let it run through me, but now just in the last, we've been talking now, getting prepped for about a half hour.
Right.
I had felt better getting on, and then just over the last 20, 25, 30 minutes, it's been, I don't even feel like it happened.
No, you look
And
great. You looked
yeah,
really tired when you first came on with me. You looked real tired. And I even said to you, I said, you look tired. And then we brought in the plasma and our the love of our hearts together, and it makes a difference. We look younger. I'm almost 69, and I was thinking to myself, I'm getting even lighter. So yeah, that's how it works. I mean, it's not like we've got a magic spell or anything. No, it's about going down and really connecting to our hearts and being happy to be. I'm glad to see you. I love you, and you know that. And I mean, we love each other. We've done some really amazing, wonderful things, and I've watched you grow. And I watched, Justin Deshantes grow. I mean, I've watched you all in a way that most people don't get to see you all grow like I do. I mean, I'm like your mother, your grandmother, and then I was your best friend. I mean, we could say, anything we wanted to say. You all were safe. We were all safe to say whatever we wanted to. And even though I was an old woman at one time. So, no, it's not about age. It's about the spirit of the soul and the innocence of our soul. That's what I called you that one day. And I remember when we were talking, remember when I got really, really still in my heart and you and I were talking and you couldn't even hardly breathe. You were just barely. And because our heart was so together, it's really hard when you're with somebody spiritually that really gets you. And it's not because I love you it's because my heart loves you, because the heart space of our souls are in the heart space. It's not, I mean, I've had 2 heart attacks. It wasn't about my heart, it was about my heart space. And since I've been going, and you've seen me cry a lot, I've been crying a lot. I know I've been having a lot of flashbacks and looking at places, things that I really miss because my program didn't match what I was really feeling. And it pisses me off that I let the program override the damn essence of who I was, as well as my innocence. And I was molested. And my father died, and I can look at all of that and think, well, no wonder your heart's closed down. We were innocent and we didn't understand what was happening to us most of the time. So it was just easier just to shut everything down. But in the long run, at the age of 60, almost 69, your heart is hurt because of that, of the many years you've blocked it. And if anything, I wanted the younger people to say, you got to go down in there deep. You got to realize, because we are great light beings. Oh my God, it's real. And Jeremy, you and I have done plasma. You came over here to my house for a weekend and we disappeared. And, people say, can you really do that? Yes. And yes, I can really do, particles, because I can give you a good example. I went to the theater with 4 friends and I went to see the movie Lucy. They were all talking about, well, one girl was talking about, said, oh, it's great. I had no idea that I was going to just literally watch her go into she went into particles, and I went into particles with her. And I ended up in the back, the theater while the guy's eating the popcorn, and I smelled that, but I see my body sitting back there, and I'm back here thinking, how in the world am I supposed to get myself back in there? And it was different because I can't do theater anymore, because the lights and the sounds push me right out of my body, and I go into particles. And we can go into particles. I do particles, but it's a whole different ball game. And I just want to teach people, and you don't even have to teach them, if they would just get still and go down and lay there and listen. It's not a big major deal. It's not like a modality. You have to say an affirmation. I just lay down and I fall in and I go in. And I know that's what's happening here. We are getting an opportunity to get out of our fear in our bodies and find out the spirit that lives within us. Our souls are most precious. And I think I realized that when I got to some view, and that's why my absolute company is called Revisions. And I review it all the time. It's almost like I go into my own screen, and it's a part of myself. And I'm looking at an event in my life that really did happen. But I'm back here watching the screen and saying, oh my God, I didn't catch that. I missed it. And I cried because there's a lot of things that I missed, and I don't want to miss anymore. I want everything that is supposed to be to me, to my soul. I want it to be experiencing that, because the soul came here to experience, and it came to feel the heart of the soul. And if we all don't wake up, we're going to be stuck in our houses, which we are saying everything outside. They're doing everything outside, because remember, and you've heard me say this, it's an inside job. And the job is in here. It will never, ever be out here. And you're never going to win out there. I don't care what they do. You're not going to win unless you find out in here what's going on. It's deep. And I don't call you. I called you and turned right around and called Todd and said, okay, I'm ready to come back out. It's almost like I came out of the closet again.
It's interesting when we were talking about the things going inside. If we even took it into the three-dimensional world just for a second, there's stimulus on the outside happening. And then we have to look at what those reactions are within ourselves. That's what going inside is all about. But it's so deep. It's not a surface reaction. It's like I was doing some work on somebody recently, energetic work, and I realized that they've buried so much that even when they go out in public, because they have a lot of trouble going out in public, and they're it's such difficulty that it causes anxiety. And there's more than one person I've seen experience this, and it's because they've buried those things of what they've seen, judgments, hurts, opinions.
Even bigger than that, because I don't think we've even, because I'll keep on talking, but I can tell you about what happened to me about it.
Yeah. So then they go out and they start having these, even if they don't even see it, their body starts having a reaction to the energy.
Absolutely. And
then they start going into, they have this anxiety, and they're not even sure what happened. They're not, where did this come from? And by the way, Karen says hello.
Hi, Karen.
Yeah, you're Karen. Yeah.
Because I'm going to talk about her. I told her, I said, I'm going to talk about Karen, because Karen and I have been talking about this, and I told you, because you have been in here, Karen's been in here, and I look at Justin Deschamps, I look at Justin, our Justin. But the thing that I had, and I was telling Karen this morning, when I was about 20, Ron and I were married, I probably was about 25. And I got a big job with the mayor in the city of Lexington, the mayor's job center. Well, in this process, I mean, what I did, and I can tell you exactly, I overextended myself. I got on the interview and I told them I could do everything. And then when I realized I got the job, oh my God, I don't even think I can do any of that. So I got into anxiety, and it was like, it started out like I thought I'd had a piece of steak stuck in my throat. You know, it would be a lump.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go, and I'd try, and I was telling and I had a staff. I had 3 secretaries at one time. Big deal. It almost killed me. But because I overextended myself and got into my ego, and look what you do. I mean, it was like, what the hell are you doing to yourself? I was 25. I was totally, probably not even prepared for anything like that. But I did a really good job, even though it almost killed me. But I had this lump. And I remember they said, well, that's back then when I realized that doctors were so much, better than they would give me a pill because they said I'm under anxiety. I said, okay, I'll go with that. Well, the lump stayed there. I don't think I ever felt that I always felt like it was there. It was like shoved down in there. So just happened just about 2 days ago, I got into that lump again. Now I am 68 years old. And I was in and I found it, but I found it all the way down in my lower rib on the left side. And I could feel it. And I could feel it stuck here as well. And you know how I always go in endpoints. I was looking at endpoints. And I realized this that I thought was a piece of steak was as big as in my rib cage. And I thought, now, how am I? So I just went down and I just started focusing on what is it? And it said, as plain as day, it was when you got so afraid that you would fail, that you shut that part out. Yeah, I wasn't even breathing hardly out of my lung. And it said, you just kept pushing it down and pushing it down. And it was a ball. And I thought, wow, I've carried that for 68 years. And I went in and it was strictly fear of failure. But when I resolved it, it came back in and you know how I pop out of my body, you pop the neck and everything. It popped over, came back through from the left to the right, came back in and landed right underneath my heart and pushed it back up. And that lump went out. Now that's how damn we're dealing with this. And it wasn't a pill. It was a fact that I had to relax, and we're not relaxing. Karen, I know you're on there. We were talking about this morning. We don't know how to relax inside either. And you've got to go in, expand, contract, then you hold, and then you expand it more, because you're not going to be able to relax. You've got to relax so much that you fall down, and then you realize you really don't have any organs anymore. That's how you go into particles. And why are we sitting here and we're working? And I hear people say, we're working on the 5th dimension. You're still here. You're not out of particles. You're still here. You see my baby?
Yeah, he wants to be a part of the show.
Yeah, he's excited because when I get on there with people like you or Karen, he goes crazy because he's an energy cat. I trained him that way.
Yeah, you remember Max would get on camera too?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that. Do you remember the first time when I went to your house?
Oh yeah,
and he came up to me and he looked at my face and he said, "He's not treating me very well." And I said, looked at you, remember, I said, "Are you not taking care of Max?" He was right in my face telling me.
Yeah, he was mad because I made him not jump on people at a party.
Yes. I said, well, that's okay. I'll tell him. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Jeremy, when your mom died and you and I were sitting in that restaurant, we did not know what to do, basically. You were having people coming in. And you and I.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. I remember we sat there and we started visualizing everything moving very smoothly.
Yes.
And everything just came in. And
well,
the flowers.
Remember, everything in the restaurants kind of got real foggy.
Right, and it got relaxed and everything. Yeah. The energy got relaxed. And so then we started moving around and getting things prepared for her memorial.
Yes.
And do you remember that I worked for MetLife and the blimp flew over literally hovered over the
Remember
memorial?
when the river, everything, when we were talking, it just stopped.
It got really calm.
There was just nothing but silence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now you can't tell me that's not spirit. You can't tell me that what we've gone through. So why are we not utilizing what we already know? And we can shift this. You know, I wouldn't be sitting here on a radio show. I don't have to. I have a private business. I have plenty of people. I'm not trying to find clients. I'm trying to make people realize what can you do is exactly what I'm telling you to do. And you know what to do. We create plasma. Electromagnetic plasma. So we start moving everything and shifting, and you're going to shift everything. Your polarity is going to be shifting back over to a different state of mind. If we don't do that, I don't know where we're going to go, but I know I'm going to be in particles. You all can stay here. I'm checking.
So well, we're building the energy already, but Karen's here with us. It's like we're sitting in your living room, and we can build that energy. And there's a bunch of people watching right now. We can build that energy right here between all of us.
Yeah,
and
I can feel Karen. I can feel,
we open up our hearts, and all of you watching, just kind of
take
deep breaths in.
Yes.
And then open your heart and feel this.
And expand it. Because I know there's other people around there that feel me too. And I know my clients, friends, we can do this. If I didn't believe we couldn't do this, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you this. You know how I am. I'm very firm about what I know.
You could definitely feel that.
Oh, I feel it. I've been feeling it for a long time. That's why I called you. That's why Karen and I want you to bring Karen in, sometimes, because what we went through with her dad, what I went through with your mom, what I went with Jennifer. I don't know if Jennifer is in there, but Jennifer's my aunt. I mean, that is incredible work. Stacy, I don't know if she's going to be out there, but Stacy's working too. And everybody used to think Stacy was crazy off the edge. No, she was just having to get off the edge so she could get into the plasma. You got to. It's a faith. It's a jump of faith. It is. It's a leap, and you've got to. That you're not crazy. If I'm crazy, then there's a whole lot of people like me.
Do you remember when Stacy took a leap of faith when she called you and said, "I'm on my way"?
Yeah.
I'm at the airport right now. You're what?
God. I mean, if she's in here, she knows. I said, "Don't you ever damn well do that to me again." She said, "I'm on the plane." I said, "What?" Oh my God.
I have to go.
I was so pissed off at her, and she knows it was. I mean, it was like, then we settled down. And yeah, she stayed with me for a week.
But you guys did good work.
She did.
So those of you who are watching, what are we talking about? We're talking about getting in the heart, because through the heart opens up your energy, and the plasma just starts, it comes from within.
Oh,
and I know people know what we're talking about, because I know people watching have seen that when spirit comes in and you feel, and you can see that like cloud in your house, or it gets distorted and stuff like that.
I was in Chicago with Jennifer, and we were having a meeting, and I was telling them about what I do and everything. And the room shifted, and the women said, "Did you see that? This room is never done that color before." I said, "No, it won't ever be a color that you'll recognize." Because the Holy Spirit, I don't know what you want to call it. I know I've seen it as long as I've been doing this work. And I used to think it was kind of, then when we all started working with people like, each other like this. And I want to tell you, Karen was one of my big ones, because I remember I was just learning this, and she would come in and I'd say, "Karen, today I'm going to put my hand through you." And she'd go, "Okay, all right." Shit, if I kill her, she's okay with it. Because I did not know if it would. And when my hand slipped through her body, and she looked at me, she said, "You just went through my body." And I said, "Yes." she would do a couple of things. You and I did some crazy things that, people don't. I was willing to step out because of what I'd had as a near-death experience that just slammed my ass right to the floor and said, wake the hell up. And I did. And that's why I left my family. I left everything to do this work. And it's not over. It's just beginning. If for the new ones coming in, you're not crazy. But you don't have, you don't have to have anything. All you have to have is the willingness to go in and really be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Tell the truth what's really going on, and get out of your damn programs. You don't even know they're not yours. I mean, I was from the 60s. I was really from the 50s, but I remember I went to college. I got exactly what I was supposed to do at college. I got a husband, I got a house, and I got my kids. But that didn't fill me up. I had all the materials. I had the cars. I had tried it all, but it didn't fill me up. And I loved my family, don't get me wrong, but no, this fills me up. When I help somebody or assist somebody with the truth, and the truth is what sets you free, because we're in bondage, but we're in bondage to an ideology of fear that you are crazy or you can't see that God is very real. And you know that, Jeremy, as much as I do. We've done some things. I mean, I look at the gay boys. When we'd come, all the gay boys would come together and there would be spirit coming all around. And, what I did to Tony.
Oh, I was just talking about that and God coming in the other day with my friend Cody. And he's been really watching this for a while. And he said, Jerry, I've watched you throughout the years have some crazy things happen to you, but something always takes care of you.
Yes.
And we were talking about when he had moved in and Daryl moved in and Sydney was here and I lost my job. And then Cody got a job and then he and Daryl supported the house. And literally it's just one of those things where and I know that the people out there are watching this, so we're wanting to be dependent on other things. There is no savior for us. It's our own energy that brings it in. And so that's Sherry and I, it's great that we're living together again, because remember what we went through 12 years ago.
God, yes.
And so now we're both in such a great place where every day we wake up and we're grateful, because I remember when we were scrounging up change to get a McDonald's burger to be able to eat, and
oh my gosh, yes.
and went through the worst of the worst, and so it's really one of those things. So if you don't believe that there is some energy out there working in your favor, then it's really your blocking of that favor, and that's not a shaming thing, because people think that that's a shaming thing, that I'm not.
But that's another program,
yeah.
Jeremy, that you're less than, you're unworthy. And who told you that? Remember how I have to work with clients? Who told you? Did you? And I remember saying this to a client. Did your mother say you were unworthy? Well, no. I said, then where did you get that?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, and I said, what does unworthy? Because most people are using the English language that is really not good language to work with, because it doesn't give you the depth of what you're really saying. I was saying this to another person. I said, words are flat. But when you really, it's like when I had my Jesus experience and the Bible opened up and he said, there's a Bible within the Bible, dive in. And I realized it's deeper. It's not about the complex words. It's the energy behind the words that make a difference. When I was working with people with affirmations, they say, and I remember practicing that with Louis, what is it?
Catherine Ponder, Louise Hay.
That was Louise Hay.
Louise Hay.
Yeah. Louise Hay. And I was sitting there in the mirror going, whatever I was saying, and I thought, that is so flat. I mean, and I'd say it because I was an actress, so I'd say it dramatic. And that didn't do it. Then I'd say, okay, then I'm going to sit down here. And I thought that didn't feel right. Then one day I said, say it with your mind, Jenny. And I did. And it rippled down. Then I knew, because I have background in science, and I knew about how things work with frequency and vibration, because I've been dealing with it all my life. I remember I was a softball player, and I used to feel when I'd go out to the outfield, it would crackle, going through the field. And I thought, man, I've got something in my sinuses. No, it wasn't. It was because it was energy, and I could see it and feel it, but I thought it was my sinuses. So all these years, I thought I've had a sinus problem, but I've had an energy situation because I was a sensitive.
Right.
And people have no idea. I mean, think about when you go into a room and all of a sudden you feel closed in. Mm-hmm. And what's the first thing you do? You close down your heart. And I think in this time, I think a lot of times people are now, all the things that we used to say, bitch about family outings and people having, I think now they're starting to see that they miss that connection to their families, and the sadness that they're going through, that they can't touch anybody, I miss hugging somebody, putting my arms around and grab. And this is what this thing called Heartland, it's a series, these two young little teenagers, it made me go back into an innocence in me that I realized I never had that, because my dad started dying at my age at 11. And I watched him die. I mean, they took his eye out. They took the palate in his mouth. They cut out his hair, and it killed me almost. It cut my heart down to the level. And so I walked around till I was probably 46. And I saw the first time that there's more in the heart than I thought. And I missed some things. And I always been one that used to tell you, I don't have any regrets. Don't. Because once you cross over, the regret is right there. I don't want to have anything to regret. Nothing. If somebody thinks they hate me, go on and call me. Let me hear what you've got to say. I much rather hear what the truth is and know who you are than you sit down and stab me in the back. And I know that I've been stabbed. I just got to find the person who did it.
Or stew over it, like sit there and stew on it and tear your soul up.
Yeah.
For being angry, and it doesn't even make any sense.
And then they might not even heard what, I remember I had to go in and tell people I was sorry. And most of the time they didn't even know what I was sorry about, because it was about my issue, not theirs. And I think, well, it's like when you and I had to look at each other, and I knew you had the check. And I saw the check in my third eye, because I didn't know who it was, but I knew the check. And I remember when you were driving, and I said, let's just stop. Let's really look at this, because this is very important. And we both said, this is the most important thing we ever did with each other, is to be totally honest. Remember? And I said, Jeremy, if you need something, or if you don't have, because you were not telling me the whole truth, that you needed gas, you needed money, and you were trying to say you weren't. And it hurt me in a way, because not in the sense that you understand. Now it would hurt me. I'd probably bitch slap you for doing it to me, because, I don't allow that. I mean, it would be the same thing that Karen's in here, because we're very honest with each other, and no matter what it comes out of our mouth, we know it's about ourselves. It's not about the person or projection onto, and it gives us an opportunity to mirror back to what we need to look at, because that's all it is that we've been fighting all of these shadows and these thoughts and everything, and it would have been so easy if we just shut up and ask the question, are you upset with me? And please answer me that honestly.
So I just want to tell everybody give everybody the context of that story, is that that happened, I want to say like 2009, something like that. Mm-hmm. And was driving, I lived in North Tampa, close to Fletcher. Well, I lived off of Fletcher and Fonona Sassa Road. And so if you're from Tempe, you'll know where that is, but it doesn't really matter. And I was driving about an hour and 15 minutes to go get you down in Bradenton, right? And so we had done a workshop in November and at Sacred Grounds, and then we'd done another one.
And it was very successful.
In December, they were both very successful. There was a gentleman by the name of Robert, I think his name was. I can't remember his last name off the top of my head. He was friends with Sylvie Ann, and he gave me a check to give to you, but he wrote it out in my name. And I said, "Don't worry about it." I told her I would cash it and I'd send her the money. Well, I had lost the check and I couldn't find it. And then I thought to myself, well, when I find it, I'll use it to get gas money because I really needed gas. And it was during that time, there wasn't the flow of money, the abundance I had at the time. And so I found it. Literally, she was there in November. And then on a Friday night, she came over for a party at my house. I took her back to Bradenton, went and got her the next morning because we were driving up to Newport Richey to do a workshop up there. And I had found the check at like 2:00 in the morning. Between that time of taking her home and getting her in the morning, well, she had in meditation saw the check, and so as soon as she gets in the car, she says, "Hey, what happened to that check?" And so I just told her, and I said, "It's interesting you say that because I found it literally like 4 or 5 hours ago, and I'd lost it over the last month." Well, the moral of the story is like, why wouldn't I just ask her, just for gas money, driving her back and forth? And so mainly because I had this hero mentality, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I got it and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I didn't tell my friend I need money for driving me back and forth. And I wasn't honest about it. And so she said, "You can go ahead and keep that check." And she goes, "But you lost money because I was going to give you $50 anyways." And she goes, "Going forward, make sure you tell me this kind of stuff." And so with this being said, I want everybody to think about, this is the story between us, and we've never had anything that we've never talked. Now, since then, we talk about everything. And so, but I just, while we're out there, we're thinking about the current world and everything that's going on. How often do you not tell somebody you care about or love the truth, even down to the simplest little thing? And that energy inside of you rips you apart, because you got hurt feelings, and we all do it. We all do it or have done it in our lifetime. And so, and by the way, Cindy, it's nice to see you. And Gilly, thank you so much. I'm glad it helped. And Jean, thanks for coming on. And Kimberly, thanks for coming on. So we're getting comments on our post on the video. And so that's really powerful. So when we're talking about the heart energy, we really have to think about that. And yeah, Cindy, definitely God provides. And then that was in that sense, in that moment when I'm hoarding this check, I'm not saying that God provides. I'm saying that I need to take this check, and instead of saying and trusting.
Right.
And that was that was a long time ago, 12.
Gosh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've done a lot. We've done, I still laugh about with Justin DeShantz and them when I had to stay in there with the roaches. And I thought I was going to die. And I finally stood up in that bedroom and I said, "Let me tell you something. You're going to have to fix these roaches, because if I'm seeing them, I'm not going to be able to move and stay here." And then after I said, "You're going to have to fix this." And I never saw another roach. And they were everywhere. Don't you remember? My God, they didn't have any of the pest control and all that. And I remember thinking, oh my, but I had to change my mind and change the whole thing. That's when Julian and I were doing such good work. Oh my God. We did some wonderful work. He always wanted to come to the house and stay with me like you got to. He said, "I always want to go where Jeremy went with you, and I want to be with you." And I remember when Justin was with us and he was mad at us. And then I think you went to bed and he saw me shapeshift, and he got scared him so bad he went and jumped up on you. So yeah, we've had some wonderful. My gay boys were the ones I loved, because you all were the most powerful group I'd ever seen. That's when Julian came out openly and said that he thought he molested a child when he was babysitting. And, that group was so together. You could not, and there was other ones in there besides just them. but we embraced him. You don't get embraced.
It was so funny when he did that, and then he went and talked to that person,
Yeah.
and they didn't even have that perception, but he had held on to this guilt, and it wasn't even what he thought it was, but in his mind, he had built up this story in his head,
and he was a molester. He announced himself as a molester,
and so it was really. And it was for whatever reason, the programming of whatever happened. He was a little child, and so it's one of those things where how often have we been programmed in these ideas of the way we should be, or and there's so much information being pumped.
Yeah, well, and I know that I thought I had been possibility raped. And when I reviewed it wasn't a rape at all. It was not even it was frightening where they had me down. And, it scared me. I was young. And so I created this. And when I got to view it, as I reviewed it from the ultimate observer, I thought, oh my God, I thought he was going to rape me. And it wasn't that at all. And I'm not saying that because I've almost been raped 3 times, and that did stop that. Whatever that was, the being that came in through me scared those 3 men. They were individualized, but I kept thinking to myself, what is it scared them? What's in me that scared them to stop? Then I was scared of what was inside, because I was afraid it was going to come up and thrash me. So I lived under the guise of this abusive being thing that was in me, but it wasn't. It was a child. It was your spirit. It was, it's strong. When it's really in charge, it's strong. And I've had to stand up with people that I would never want to stand up. Look at that shaman. I had to stand up and what you're doing is wrong. And all those people said, you know what you're talking to? He's Peruvian shaman. I said, well, he's got a pee just like I do. And that's when I took all those people out.
So my friend Cindy is commenting on that you don't hear about plasma shape-shifting, et cetera, anymore. That's very true. You don't really hear people talking about this. They talk about a lot of other things, but and I really think that, and I'm sure Cindy will agree, we can talk about it, but we have to experience it.
It is the experience. Yeah. If you don't, we could sit here and talk about it. Now I sit and watch a lot of your work and other people, and I've listened to another guy named Crow, but there's an element, and the 5th element is the energy. It's the experience. And if you don't have that, you might have all the damn, intelligence you want, but if you don't have the 5th element of energy and, experience, you don't have it all. And I guess I'm just saying, we can do this, but it is work. I'm not going to say, this has taken me, I've been doing this since 1998. But I've had glimpses all my life. And everybody knows, because I was talking to, there's a young man too that I would like people to be aware of too. His name is Alston Walters. He was on Crow, and this is Crow 777. I do use him, but I heard him, and he was talking about what we know energetically, the polarities, the electromagnetic field, and it is electromagnetic field. You are magnet. And that's why they call it electromagnetic. And this is why I was talking about 5G. You're being messed with all the time. Think of all the things that are in your house, your radio, your computer, your car. My car goes off and, and Karen, if you're in there, you'll know it that because she's watched me go in there. Can you feel this? Because it goes through me. The electricity of the car goes through me. So I have to constantly ground the car. And that's because they're messing with things. And I can go by a telephone pole or what I'm seeing, and I feel it. And with just being you and the people that are working with me, Karen, all of us, all you have to do is put your hands together and you'll feel it. You'll feel that energy. Let's go this way. And there it is. You'll feel it. And then you can just build it, and y'all make it like a ball. Then you can just put it on the top and you run it down. You've got to practice with it. It's alive. It's like working with something. You're building something, and that is us. That's why we're called divine beings. We're not worth, we're full of worth. But look how they programmed us. They have programmed us to think the worst of us. Animals. We're not animals. We're spirit. And I guess I'm just getting tired of hearing the same damn shit. I'm sorry. That's just the way I feel about it. I know Karen knows, I don't know all of the audience. Stacy's there. I've worked with my clients all over the world, and I have worked with all over the world. Go to Egypt, and I get to go to the pyramids. I didn't even have to take a piece of luggage, but I was there. Why do I need an airplane? I can go that way. And, I've learned how to do this. I had the toppest teachers. They were not from here. They were with me in the ethers. And, I was blessed. And I know it's profound sometimes when you get all of this rushed down into you. Experience it. Take it in. Breathe it. And if it feels bad, find out why. Because nothing is bad or good. It's perfect. And that's and I can hear clients, how many clients have you heard me say, no, that's not perfect. Yes, it is. Soulfully, everything is perfect. Now, humanly, you won't like the shit you have to deal with sometimes. But too bad when you know it's perfect. And I don't really care about anybody's flesh. I care about their souls. And I probably have been in Jeremy and Karen and Stacy and the ones who are in there that know me, that I'm not saying anything that I've never said before. I've always been saying this. Karen Baker, damn good and well, I've said this from the first time she ever came to my house, she was so dark inside, she couldn't even find any light. And it was like, and then all of a sudden, and we worked, she started having fireworks. And she said, and she's got her eyes and she's in her body inside. And she said, there's fireworks going up. And I thought, well, finally, we found some light. And like I said, you, Karen, Stacy, the ones who have really been with me, it's been pretty amazing ride. And I don't regret anything. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to get clients. I don't need clients. I just don't. I'm available but you can do this. It's not like I've got a formula. It's just I used to do 16 to 17, 18 hours a day. And I got still. And I shut my mind down. And I really listened to my soul. And that little inner voice, and you'll hear me on Facebook, I do this day. And there's a lot of people that like this day because I like to try to keep it short and quick, but a reminder every day that you have an opportunity to change things. Every day you can change one thing and it changes another thing. And this is what we can do. If I didn't think that, why the hell didn't I just go on and go last June? I could have waltzed right out of here because there was a voice that kept saying, why don't you just die? And it was ugly. And it wasn't.
What is that? I know what that voice is, but I know everybody else is experiencing this. It may not be a voice, but it might be an emotion.
Well, what it was is I got really sick, but it ran into me. I was at a farm that's been over 100 years old, and we went in to clean it out, and there was some really dark stuff in there. I'm not going to say there wasn't. And it was also 90 degrees, and I am also 68 years old, and I went out without a hat, because I don't even think about that stuff. When I'm into the energy, I got dehydrated. That's what they're saying. But I don't believe in that darkness and evil, but I think that I walked into something and there was a lot of shit going on that I didn't realize. And I got sick because I went first to Paducah, which is about a 4-hour drive, then or a 2-hour drive, and whatever it is. Then I came back and then I did another workshop. Then I went to a farm, and I don't normally do that. When I remember I semi-retired, so I was doing all of this in 1 week. So that's a lot of it too, that I wasn't taking care of me and not grounding and clearing And I think this was a great opportunity for me, but then I got sick, and after 4 days I was in a fever. I mean, I've never felt a fever like that. It hit me really hard, and it was like somebody ran into me, and I used to tell the doctors that, but then I ended up, I was paralyzed. But this voice came in, the 4 days of the fever, and said, just die. Just die. You say you can get out of here, just do it. And I was so sad to listen to that. I kept thinking, is that me? Well, I think there is a part of ourselves that we don't like ourselves. And I think that that stuff was coming up, and I was going through some things anyway, looking at a friend that I really did like. And I think I started to see that they weren't exactly who they were. And I really liked her, and I really wanted to be with me. I was hurt. And I think that hurt, seeing the real truth that I trusted them. And that's the thing, if you can't be truthful to me, then get the hell out. I don't need anybody lying to me, because you call me to get assistance, and then you're going to sit and tell me about it's a lie. And I will pick it up faster than anything, because I can feel that, because it's about frequency. It's not about the words. It's about, you can feel when somebody is going against themselves or going against you, they suck their energy in to themselves. And I can feel them leave from my connection. And and that's why I used to when I worked for Bill Moore, when he was doing my divorce, I was also doing his profiler. I was a profiler for him. And I would tell him, don't take that, because this person's lying. And he got really good. I mean, I got really good being a profiler, because I did energy. I saw observation of how people work. But I was also a social worker, and I learned observation. So you do have clues, you have physical clues, but then you have emotional, electrical, and energy clues. And you watch, and then you get really good. And I got really, really good at it. That's why I work with horses. The horses tell me, oh, give me a horse any day, because they don't talk. They feel. And I mean, I've got a beautiful picture of Ned, that this is a horse that came in there, and he was going to tear everybody up. And I knew that this horse was so angry. And in the middle of the night, that horse came to me and told me that the person I was working with said we needed to work with him. And we ended up, this horse almost hurt, reared up, and he let us pull his tail. And I did. I pulled his tail. She put his neck down, and we popped his back in. Now, let me tell you something. That horse released himself. And when the end of it, he ended up putting his head on my face. And he leaned into me, and he said, thank you. And this woman said that horse hadn't been able to do that for 2 years.
That's a picture, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a big picture, yes, of him. Ned. And Ned, right now, the last time I heard, he is working with children. He helps children. Now, this is a horse that really people thought, that he was found. He was a racehorse, and but it was amazing work when I work with horses, because horses are really honest. And let me tell you, they'll knock you right down through the corner if they think you're afraid of them, and they know that they have something over you. So I've worked with dogs. I've got my cat. You know what baby is? He was feral, so I trained him to be a dog. And he's really a good cat. He's a 20-pounder that he'll lay up on my chest, and he and I will go somewhere together. So and the trees talk, you all. Everything talks. Everything is alive, and I just want people to realize we get an opportunity to really address all of this in the electromagnetic fields. And if you're bumping up against everybody, look at everybody. They've got masks on. They're scared to death. And all they're doing is they're creating more fear. And then it takes people like us. We have to swim through it, because it feels like you're swimming through it. That, we have to ground them. And I don't know how many's out there. I would like to know how many really understand what I'm talking about, because I would fly in and teach a workshop, but I'm not going to do it unless it's worth me coming in there. Because, Jeremy, I don't have to do anything like that anymore. They asked me to go into Miami again. I said, I don't know if I want to. You know,
Can I show something real quick? I was going to show, I was going to pull up that picture.
Oh,
And so it's, bear with me. Yeah, there we go.
yep, that's him. That's Ned. And it was cold, and he was really thankful for that day, because I wish you'd seen him the way he looked. It was sad. He was scared. He was angry. And when he came to me and he told me what had to be done, I did it. I've never pulled a horse's tail before in my life. And I thought, if he kicks my ass, he's going to kick me across the barn. And he didn't. You see what happened?
Yeah.
That's real. That is exactly what happened. And we can do this. I mean, Jeremy, you and I have been into situations that have been very unsafe, and you and I raise the frequency. What happens? Everything happens, and they leave, or whatever we felt. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yep.
we have. It was amazing. Here, let me turn this on. We just have an opportunity. Why the hell are we not doing something? You know, I don't know what else to do but tell what I know my story is. And it's just a story, but everybody's got an opportunity. I know I want to be here longer than what I thought I would be. I thought I'd be, well, I should have died in 46, but I should have died before I ever got here, because remember, I was 1 pound and 7 ounces in 1951. I should have been dead. So I drowned twice. And I've had heart attacks, and I had a massive stroke, and I didn't go anywhere. I stayed right here, and I'm not saying that people could do that. I've worked hard, and I also am not afraid. And if you're afraid, you can't do that. And Karen knows for sure some of the things can go wrong with people they don't understand. Like Karen's roommate had heard us talking about cinnamon, and she was diabetic, so she was doing the cinnamon pills, and she almost died. If it hadn't been for Karen to take her, get the hospital or get the ambulance, she would have died. But then she had she was at the hospital, and we saw her. She came to us, but she wouldn't talk to Karen and I. She talked to somebody else, and still didn't hear it, what was said. And she had an opportunity to change herself right then.
Yeah, and that's happened to me throughout the years. I don't go to the doctor very often, but I've had times where I'm like, my intuition said, go to the doctor, and I went. Yes. And did you remember when I broke my arm?
Yes.
I was just talking about that yesterday, and Mom said, do you want me to take you to the emergency room? I'm like, no, I'm a healer.
I remember.
And I did go into meditation for hours, and I didn't feel any pain. Mm-hmm. But then as soon as I came out of that meditation, I had excruciating pain. And I remember, later on, I was like, well, how come I couldn't have fixed it? And I heard, get the bone set first, knucklehead, and then, and so, and so the ego can block us from what is it we need to do. And so
and I used to say ego. I don't even know if that's not a part of us to direct us to our soul.
That's true. Well, everything
part about ego, so edging God out and all. And I don't know if that's not a choice to get you on the right path. Because you got to find out, you got to experience, lying. For me, the first time I lied, and I'll tell you, I lied to my aunt. I was a little girl. I was probably about 13 years old, and I was at her house, and we were playing with the chemistry set, and there was some tubes, glass tubes, and my aunt said, you need to put all that up. And I thought, I broke a few, and I just threw them out in the yard. And the girl up the street came dashing down to talk to me and cut her foot completely, and it hurt her bad. And she was a cheerleader. And oh my God, I felt so bad because I lied, because my aunt asked me, did you pick that all up? Oh, yeah, I did. I think I just kind of slowed it up. And I had to go up to her house. And I remember it couldn't have been very long, but it was the longest walk to go tell her what I did. And she's got her foot, and she's not going to be able to cheer. I'm thinking, oh my God, I've ruined this girl's life, you know. And I remember I came into the back door and I had to sit down, and her name was Melanie. And she said, I said, I was in tears. And she leaned over and she said, well, I'm glad you did do that to me, because I really didn't want to go to that cheerleading conference or whatever it was. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I've been hoping to get off of it. And I'm thinking, so I did a bad deed. She wanted to get out of the situation. So she got, it was like, you know, magnets, boom, got her, you know, but it got me involved because I lied. See how it works? And I mean, both of us were the wrong, you know, she didn't want to go, and she was trying to figure out how to not go. And I was trying to get out of it, not having to, you know, do what my aunt asked me to do. So both of us in the long ended up learning a great lesson there. And I should have done what I was told to do, and I should have not lied. And then she should have told her mother, and she probably would never cut her foot. I mean, it was bad cut. So she was out in the summer for a little time, even more. And I thought, wow, why are we all messing with each other? Why aren't we just telling them? We don't have to go crazy and like start screaming and yelling. Why people that love each other can't just look at each other and just be honest and say, right now, that just doesn't feel right for me. And why can't we honor that? What's going on? I mean, you're looking.
Oh, I'm muted. What I was just thinking, like, why can't we have discussions even if we have disagreements? We can't just have an adult discussion. And I've found in disagreements, and in conscious disagreements where I'm just having a conversation, that I've grown from it.
Well,
and,
absolutely.
But you're not yelling and screaming at each other. You're not disrespecting each other. You're
that's passive aggressive behavior, first of all, and that's another program. We've been trained to be passive aggressive. And but why do we even have to have a discussion? How about if we just open up our hearts and let the hearts speak what the truth is in it? Because you're never going to get the full. The tongue is a mighty powerful thing, and it is. It's a sword. Go back to the Bible. And what we have to do is we have to learn to put that down and stop the warring, and find out what the real truth is, because we all both might be the same. We might be.
When the war inside ends, the war outside will end.
There it goes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when I had to learn to be more patient with myself. And that's why I did the 16 and 18 hours a day in meditation, was to just keep my mind shut down and not make assumptions and decisions that I don't need to make, because you're going most of the time out in the future and the past. You're never in the now. If you're not in the now, then it's worthless, because you're creating in the past, or you're creating the future doesn't even exist. And I mean, this is the old stuff. This is stuff that we were talking about, 20-something years ago? I mean, and it's the truth. I don't have any modalities. I'm not going to ring a bell. I'm not going to have a tool. I am the tool. I mean, I remember this guy had all these rocks. He came with a lot of crystals and everything. I said, you don't pack those with you every time you go somewhere? What if you can't pick them all up? I said, you don't have them registered in your mind, how they feel? He said, you can do that? I said, yeah. I said, touch them, recognize them, take them into your mind, and then they're there. And they're the crystal. Those are the rock people. Those are people that are really real. They're real, because I remember meeting, and I've also seen a sprite, a fairy, and there was 2 other women with me when I did that. I know the elementals are there. I've always felt the elementals, but I always dealt with a different, But I did a lot of universal, and I realized it's not in the universal. It's right here. It's in the heart, and we have an opportunity. We can shift this, and I would not tell you that if I didn't believe that. But I've done some really deep 10 or 15 weeks, whatever I've been doing, and I've been blessed because I've got I've got beautiful neighbors that have been so grateful to me. They picked up what I need. If Lisa Shuck is in there, she'll know that I'm talking about her. Wade, the same one. They have been nothing but they've been precious. Aminda, she will go and get things for me. I mean, I've been blessed, and you know that. I mean, that things come to me, and what I need, it shows up. But that's because we go into flow.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what I kind of want to end on real quick, because people have been asking, well, what should I do to overcome all this? And the answer is go into flow and be in your heart. And so the things we've been talking about over the last hour is really get inside of yourself and allow yourself to be in the flow with spirit.
Yeah, and not be into fear. You know, start questioning yourself, asking things. Why did I feel that way? What made me react that way? Because you're really now making yourself accountable to yourself and everybody around you. Accountability is the most important thing, because you got to be accountable. Are we running out of time?
We are. That's okay. We kind of ended on the perfect spot too. Accountability and flow. So
Good.
being in the heart. So it was perfect.
Did you have a lot of people that
Oh yeah, they're all there. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everybody for watching and who's going to watch the archive. I'm sure Jenny and I will be back on soon. Maybe we'll convince Karen to come on next Thursday.
Yes, she needs to. We need to do
and we'll do some work from that. And many blessings to everybody. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all for your attention. And just do yourself better. Just be happy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Much love.
Good work.